What is up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Trucking and Transportation, and I had just done a video and got a comment on it that I thought was a good topic to do a video on, and that comment was, what are my goals in trucking? So, my goals in trucking have changed drastically from what my original plans were. Now, my original plans when I was thinking about getting into trucking, and I've mentioned this before in some other videos, my goal was to come to Prime, knock out my training, do the year, leave Prime after a year, buy a truck, go to somewhere like Landstar or whatever, basically the super trucker formula that you hear out there. That was kind of what my plans were, and it was never, my thoughts or my goals were never revolving around the money as much as it was the freedom. Now, something that kind of changed that was the risk that was involved. Now, in a video coming up, I'm going to do kind of a video about my life story and different mistakes that I've made in different points in my life. And I'm going to do that because I want everybody to realize when I'm talking about certain things, I'm talking from experience, where there's the stupidity of, overspending money on stuff, business failures, whatever. So I'm not just out here, I'm just not out here preaching from something that I don't have some good experience in. So just want to put that out there. But here's my goal in trucking. It's not necessarily what my goals are in trucking, it's what how trucking can fit into my goals. Now, the reason I got into trucking was I was just burnt out after being at the same company in the mortgage and business, and then being in banking years prior to that. I was just burnt out in all of that. It was just too much stress, and it was stress all the time. So I looked at it and I just said, you know what, I just cannot continue doing this. So I was trying to think of ways to bring in enough money to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, and trucking seemed like it was a route that I could do that. So anyway, how my business changed was I got to Prime and kind of got trained up, and basically even before I went out on my own, I kind of saw what the potential was to make it Prime with little or no with really no damn, what word am I looking for? It's on the tip of my tongue, but basically I can go into it without losing anything that I don't put into it. So I got into Prime, got my truck, and I just did the regular lease on the truck. Now, once I got comfortable running my own truck, I started doing the numbers on the lease purchase, and once I did those numbers, in my scenario, it just did not make sense to continue on with the regular lease. So I came up with I wish these guys would shut up. I should have known to turn the CB off. So in order for me to do the lease purchase, I had to come up with $14,000 down, and I had to put down cash for all the accessories I have, because I've been leasing with Prime for under a year. Now, all that money that I did came from Prime. It wasn't like I brought in money from the outside. I know that I'd done a video a while back, and somebody was saying not everybody could just pull from their bank account and pull that money in. That was all money that I had in Prime, and the majority of that money came out of my emergency fund, which I religiously put 20 cents per mile in. And there have been times when I told my payroll lady to just throw the whole check into the emergency fund. So anyway, came up with, and I'm going to kind of get to my plans here in a little bit, but came up with the money to get this lease purchase, and that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. Now, my goals in trucking really aren't that deep. You know, how am I trying to put this? Trucking is a means to an end. So this could be money coming from trucking. It could be money coming from wherever. I really don't have any goals as far as the trucking industry goes. It's what this money can do for me. So I guess my goals in trucking would be more aligned with my goals in life. So I'm 52 years old, and me and my wife are in a pretty good situation, but I'm trying to get things like completely locked down. Like I'm trying to get either another investment property or a vacation home. And I want to do that while I still have years to work, because, you know, once you stop working, it's harder to continue paying on stuff or pay for it cash, depending on where, you know, where in the country that happens to be. It seems like most of the places that I like are places that, you know, I'm not just going to come in there and stroke out a check for. But you know, that's a goal that trucking is helping me fund. Now, coming up with this $14,000 did kind of set that back a little bit, but if you extrapolate things out over 3 years, me not coming up with that $14,000 would have cost me way more just completing a regular lease. So that has been my main goal. And the other goal, and I kind of let my wife kind of handle this part of it, is just to start, you know, I haven't been one to invest in individual stocks or anything like that. I'd always just maxed out my 401k, have my wife max out her 401k, and just kind of leave it at that. But we've began to dabble a little bit with that, kind of starting with that whole coronavirus thing. Once stocks started falling, that's when I jumped in the market and started buying some stocks that I thought were underperforming at that time. But you know, for the most part, we're pretty much debt free. I want to keep it that way. And trucking is just a way for me to, I guess, how am I trying to say? It's a way for me to add on. You know, just try to add on as much as I can before I go into retirement. And, you know, I'd say the main obstacle between me, you know, a lot of people say they want to retire early, and a lot of people can, but a lot of people, you know, like me, when you start looking at, you know, it's easy to say, okay, well, this much money can last this much time, and then you start throwing in Social Security when that hits. You know, it's the medical stuff that, you know, the medical expense that's the main, you know, deterrent from trying to actually retire early. Now, there may be a time that, you know, I've always joked around and said the best job in the world are those people that work at Costco, that, you know, when you leave the Costco, they put that little ink on your thing, like they looked at your receipt. You know, that's like the best job out there. I always joked around like that might be the gig for me. But I really don't have any goals in trucking other than just short-term goals. You know, pick up a load, don't hit shit, and deliver the load. It's really not much more complicated than that. If I was, you know, obviously if I was in my 20s, my goals would be entirely different. First of all, the choice that I would have done, I'd have probably been more of along the lines of a flatbed type of a person at that age. You know, when you get a little bit older, it's a little bit harder to, you know, physically the way it used to be, but I probably would have gone flatbed, and I probably would have actually chosen a career path. I think that is one of the differences between reefer and flatbed, is flatbed has an actual career path. Like, the difference between the best reefer driver and the worst reefer driver is very small, but the difference between the best flatbed driver and the worst flatbed driver is a very long distance. So I know that didn't have anything to do with my business plan, but you know, you know what, I guess one thing I will say about a business plan that I may have that revolves around trucking is I am contemplating getting another truck sometime next year, and then having somebody run that. And I've spoke with shout out to Junior Honduras, you know, trying to pick his brain and see kind of, you know, what the pluses and minuses are along with that. So I guess that would be kind of another goal that I have as far as trucking goes. I know I rambled on a little bit, but I did at least kind of want to throw a little bit out there on that topic. And like I said, I definitely want to tell a little bit about, not my entire life story, but hit on certain points in my life where I made mistakes and stuff like that I've learned from, that hopefully, can explain how I am now to people and maybe keep them from making the same mistakes as well. The problem with some mistakes is some people think that they can't recover from these mistakes. I was speaking to somebody, I'm not going to throw them out, but, quite a bit younger than me, 15 years younger. And, I was telling them, I was like, with what I know now, if I could go back to your age with all the issues you have going on, I would change places with you, and I would be better off where I am right now. Information is everything. Get as much as you can. The closest you can get to seeing into the future is getting information. So anyway, I'm continuing to ramble, but I think I covered about what I wanted to cover in this, but I do want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me ramble on. I appreciate it. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.